Hello there. In this video, I'm gonna explain how you can use the UnrealToColmap or Unreal to Gaussian Splat plugin to convert an Unreal Engine scene into 3D GS. So first of all, let's enable the plugin. Go to the plugins and search for Colmap. Enable, and then let's restart. Now if we go into content browser, you can go into the plugins folder here, and if it doesn't appear for you, just go to settings here and make sure the plugin content is enabled. Go into Unreal to Colmap content, then blueprints, then drag and drop this BP capture point into the level. Now let me explain this. So in order for us to collect the Colmap data set from Unreal, we need to place capture points around our scene. Now what a capture point does is, as you can imagine, it spawns cameras at this capture point in a spherical form, like a 360 camera, but they are individual cameras, and then it captures all of those cameras into pictures, as well as extracts the points data from all of these cameras, and also the coloring data, like everything which is required in a Colmap data set. It collects using this point. So now you have two ways to place this capture point in your level. One way is to place individual actors, and this is only recommended for areas where you want more detail. But the good starter is this one. Go into content browser, then drop the BP path spawner. Okay, this is essentially a spline which you can use to spawn the capture point blueprint around an spline path. Okay, so let's delete this one for now. And also, because I am recording with OBS, performance is lagging, so let me switch to more lower scalability. Yeah, that's good. And now let's rotate it to 90° to fetch this pathway. Then maybe let's start from the door. So let's get this one back, like here. So for example, now if we and by the way, you can also set the distance between points in here. Okay, like right now it's set to 100, but let's maybe set it to 150, and then increase this SP line. Okay, so now like you have to place these capture points at all the locations where you want the best results, right? In this case, we are not going to cover all the entire scene, because this is just for a demo. But just keep in mind that you need to place the capture points at every location where you need detail, right? So for example, when now we have this SP line ready, what we can do is, let's copy this. So for example, let's place one here, maybe more down, and then let's make another copy, put it in the middle, and then another copy right here. And then because we have a huge elevation in here as well, what we can do is select all of them. Okay, and then let's make another copy, right, and put it exactly here. Okay, and then we can select this one, maybe move it a little more up. Oh, I think it moved the point. No, I think it was correct, but anyways, Let's move this even further. Okay, so like this is going to give you a starter, the path spawner, and then what you can do is wherever you need more detail, like for example, we need these wires to look pretty crisp, then you can either use the path spawner again and spawn um, all the capture points in a path manner, or you can just drag and drop the individual capture point actor, right? And then you can just make copies of it. So for example, we placed one over here, then one here, and then one come on here, right? And then let's get another one, maybe here, right? So it's all about placing the cameras where you need the detail. Okay, and then of course once you experiment and you train the Gaussian split, it will give you a better idea of you know where you are getting detail and where it's lacking detail, and then you can always come back to Unreal and place more cameras in the areas that are not looking good and then retrain the model. So this is how it works. All right, so now once you finalize positioning your capture points, you can open the config menu, which you can open through this icon here. All right, this is a little messy, I will fix it, but let's just resize this for now. And in here you need to decide how much cameras per capture point location you want. In my tests, I have found good results with the 10 cameras per location, but this is something you can experiment with, right? This is where you can decide the location. So for example, let's put C Gaussian split tutorial. All right. But actually, I'm not gonna capture into this scene because I will show you something else. But anyways, you need to decide the resolution. What I would say is, when you are experimenting, you doing your trials, you can go as less as 1280 by 720, and then once you are okay with the quality, like the quality of Gaussian splat, and the once you are okay with the placement of your cameras, then the last quality you gonna capture is maybe you know 2560 or 1920 by 1080. Okay, and the focal length, I used a couple of values for the focal length, and 12 is what works the best for me, because it gives you the around 116 field of view, and because of that it covers a lot of the scene per camera, right? And the warm up and capture wait frames belong, like it's related to letting, for example, if you hover your mouse on the warm up frames, it should tell you the tip. Okay, that's not the link, but anyways, the warm up frames is like how much frames the system will give the rendering pipeline to settle all the lumen and nanite essentials before it before it initiates the capture, right? So in my case, if you have less complex scenes, for example with backlighting, you can go even with one warm-up frame and one capture wait frame, and the capturing process will be much faster, right? But if you have if you have complex scenes, you can use this default value or just play with this, and you will figure out. All right, and you have some important instructions here. So once we click on start capture, it will start capturing, and unfortunately there is no stopping right now until it finishes the capture. And by the way, most importantly, in the same callback config, it will auto calculate all the capture points you have in your level in here. So you can see location 71, and then it will auto calculate based on your current configuration how many pictures it's going to extract. So as you can see, it says 710, right? But as soon as you add another like capture point, it will auto update the images and also the location, right? And you another important thing here is you have to keep the viewport active for the capture to progress. Otherwise, for example, it's capturing and you open another window, what would happen is that the capturing will be paused until you are back to the viewport. If you want to avoid this behavior, what you can do is go to editor preferences, and then search for less CPU, then enable this option. I'm enabling this for me, but see what works for you. All right. Okay, so now before I initiate the capture, let me show you another try I made. So demonstration bunker. Right, so here you can see I placed the cameras in this manner and only at a very small distance. Okay, and the result I got from this one, you can see it in my super split, as well as on it's also given in the description of the plugin. So in here, let me open the bunker. If you explore the bunker scene, this is exactly the capture point configuration that I used to get this result, right? So as you can see, it's not bad, it's pretty good actually, right? And then you can read all the technical details here to see how long it took for me, plus the iteration etc. All right, let's get back, and I will reopen the tutorial bunker scene. Okay, and then open the config, and in here, once you decide the folder, you have to click on start capture. If you are asked to compile shaders, just wait for it. And then now, as you can see in the viewport, it's capturing the frames, and you don't have to do anything. Just wait for the for the process to finish capturing. On the Colmap config UI, you can see also the progress. Okay, how many pictures are captured, how many are remaining, and also the percentage. All right, in order to shorten the tutorial, let me just pause this one, and in order to pause, I'm having to close this. But anyways, once the capture is finished, what you have to do next is open Lichfield Studio. Okay, and if you want to download Lichfield Studio, you have to just search Lichfield Studio Gaussian Splat, then go into the official URL. In here, you have to click on Windows Build, and then if you look at the bottom here, it says try an old build. So you have to click on this one, and it will download a previous version which its founder is giving for free. Okay, once you are in Lichfield Studio, you have to go to File, Import Dataset, and in here you have to go in the directory where the directory you chose in Unreal. So in my case, let's dataset 2. All right, this is not the bunker scene, another one, but just showing you how it works. So you have to select this folder, And as you can see, it auto detected the 2511 images. And once you click load, you see that it also auto detected all the point cloud, which is around 0.8 million. And then you just need to zoom out and find your scene, go closer, and you can also, by the way, use WSRD keys to explore inside Litchfield Studio. So let's go inside. And if you want to have a clear look at the point cloud, you can turn off the cameras here. Okay, and now you see how beautifully it captured the point cloud. And by the way, this is from another scene, which let me show you the result. So this is the derelict corridor uh, scene, which is made by Quixel. And this is a fairly complex scene, and I wanted to uh, push the plugin to the limits to see how far we can go. And I was very impressed with the result, and I'm sure we can even do better than this, because and the good thing for this is, as you can see, it also retained all the beautiful reflections. You see the reflections on the floor here as well. Okay, so the dataset I've imported in the Litchfield Studio right now is the same which was used to train this one. Okay, so inside Litchfield Studio, you have to choose MCMC strategy and set the iteration, and this is totally depending on how complex your scene is. If you are dealing with a smaller scene, you can keep it to 30,000 iteration and max Gaussians to 1 million. But for this scene, and you can always explore this to see what kind of detail I got here. But for this scene, I used 60,000 iterations. So 60,000, and I set the maximum split to 3 million. Okay, so once you do this setting, you just need to click on start training, and then it will show you an estimated time of how long it's gonna take at the bottom. So now you just need to wait for the training to complete. All right. And once the training is complete, so let's imagine for a second that it's complete. Then if you go into the same folder, so dataset 2, you will see an output folder in here, and in the output folder you will see this ply file. Okay, so now so you have to go into the super splat editor. So just open the URL, click on editor, and then drag and drop the ply file in the viewport there. Wait for the file to load, and then you have to locate where your scene is. Again, you can use WSRD keys in here as well. The navigation in here is pretty better compared to Litchfield, but just find a location where, for example, you want to make your starting point. Okay, and then go to file, publish. All right, and then give your scene a name and then a description, and then click on publish. Right, then it will it start uploading, and in the end it will give you a URL, and also the ability to decide whether you want to make this link unlisted or public. Okay, so for example, in my case, let's refresh this. In my case, I have some scenes that are unlisted and some are public. But what's the most surprising and amazing thing about Super Splat is that if you look at the size of the PLY file, it's 700 megabytes. Okay, it's plus like more than 700 megabytes, right? But when you publish this on Super Splat, it compresses and optimizes the file automatically, and so now you can see it's only around 17 MB. This is a huge reduction in size. And then once the file is uploaded here, it's only a matter of clicking, and this is the link that you can copy and share with your clients, with your friends. But when they open this link, they will be able to explore your scene, and it will work cross platform on mobile phones, iOS or PC. All right, let's end this tutorial here, and I will be up in the Discord server. If you have any questions, let me know, and wish you best of luck.